shock that we find in the imagery. What do you think? He has to struggle to get them uncanny, or do these oxymoronic expressions naturally come to the poem?
As far as, first things first, I would like to withdraw my expertise on statistics. Secondly, there is nothing that Rizwan says that can shock you if you hear him on a daily basis. Uh, he's undoubtedly the wittiest person around, and his let's say his job is cutting things to size and delivering wit, invited, uninvited, you name it, it's just there. So as far as his images are concerned, there are so many, and there's so many per poem and so diverse that they do kind of sometimes trip you over, undoubtedly. But as Imtiaz just pointed out, a poem has to be read several times. And that's true for Rizwan's poetry, definitely. I am calling him neither Akhtar nor Dr. Saab because both sound alien to me. The images are the most striking thing about his poetry, undoubtedly. And they kind of leap out of the page because they're so alive. And when you finish a poem, sometimes you're just left with a host of images, and they're powerful, and sometimes they're even looming. And somebody commented on one of another book launch that he's a very visual poet, and we do. It's the visual image that is the strongest in his poetry, which for which I think initially we must give him credit for observation. His observation is very, very keen. He manages to pick up the smallest of things. I remember we were sitting and eating, a few of us together, and we were having the dosa, and he says, the crunch. So, he's munching on every little thing that is happening. So it's small wonder that his poetry is so rich with imagery. Now, since I have been labeled and branded with stylistics, I will have to say something about it. I don't know if you can see the poem. This is, for those of you who have the text, and I by default start talking to students, because people have been teaching for so long that which is not to in any way discount or undermine the presence of our colleagues, and some very senior colleagues, my teachers here as well. But automatically, we just go to that bit of the auditorium and start talking to students. So, page 147, we have this poem called Opportunity. And Imtiaz here and Rizwan earlier also were talking about silences. And if you look at the poem, part of the poem runs in 3 columns that are spaced. And this is one of the ways in which Rizwan incorporates silence into the poem, into the layout of the poem. This is the only experimental layout that we have in this collection. I'm sure he has many more up his sleeve, but they're not visible yet. I'll read this one out to you just to give you a taste of the silence that is available. Poem is titled Opportunity. And he uses parentheses here also, which is, you might have noticed, a regular part of the manner in which he structures discourse. So, sky, twilight, where is it? Paper-thin wind occludes. Eyes, he rubs. The brush is a cigarette with a dot of fire at one end. The time between reflection and description winks away. The canvas absorbs, stares, and a hole bit of silence, the sky goes back in angel secure hands. They do not pose every day. Better luck next time. So sometimes you can't resist the punch, better luck next time. So you get that turn of phrase, that is over to you, I've done my bit. I would like to talk about a form that Rizwan has still kept hidden from us. His ghazals have not really appeared in this work. However, he has betrayed his love for the ghazal, and we see that although we do not have a ghazal with its usual expected radif kafiya, you do have the spirit of the ghazal, and that reminds me of a conversation that we had regarding the form of the sonnet a few days back in a conference on Pakistani literature in English, where there was this question of defining a sonnet by its rhyme scheme or by its spirit, and by its tensions and its voltas. And I would like to read another poem. It's called Trees, and it's written in little couplets, and it anticipates his ghazal, because वो ghazal की रदीफ काफिया तो नहीं है, लेकिन वो कैफियत जो एक लगती है ghazal में, और जो कपलेट के अंदर ख्याल से ख्याल का रब्त चलता है, वो आपको इसमें दिखता है. Trees. Trees are like extinct languages, taking care of their lonely lives. Wind spatters leaves, curling verbosely on ground holding archaic texts. Words pile on tongue for sounds. I make a mental munch of silence. Your memory is cusped on barks, swinging like loose sentences. Hinged on an esoteric grammar, I stable on its spontaneous growth. You did not read my gestures. They are sprouting like poems. Evening strips their shadows like themes, leaving me wondering meanings. Good poetry and the name of Yeats and Frost particularly has been mentioned, and Frost is one such poet who, along with, I would say, Heaney and Walcott and many others who've talked extensively about poetry itself. And Frost saying that it begins in delight and ends in wisdom, and that it begins with a line. I would like to ask you, Rizwan, how does your poem begin?
Well, it's difficult to answer. I think I'll go back to the typical archetype which Wordsworth said, recollected in tranquility. I think the process of recollection is primary process, that where the image settles into your unconscious or subconscious, it remains sedimented there. There's a poem actually which is about what throughout the question was. Exactly, there is a poem which, in my view, that's called Subterranean Love, actually. Basically, the poem is about this fear of Holocaust, that you go into the basement, into the bunkers, and you hide yourself. I think this process of hiding is definitely, that goes with the postmodern paranoia that we live in societies where life can be absolutely shattering, at any given moment. So I think that given moment is important for a writer, and I think for me, the poem, like I say, Wordsworth's typical archetype is that it remains in your unconscious. I think it remains in your unconscious, but when you say it remains in unconscious, it means time actually. It's the time lag. So the time lag actually. So I haven't written for the last 6 months. It's like a block I'm experiencing. But I would call it, as everybody would call it, an incubatory period, you see. So things are still incubating, but there are many reasons that you do not write, you don't feel like writing, and when you feel like writing, so it can be very, it can be very unpredictable. I think for me the poem is, I would not make any bones about it. I think the poem is always in your unconscious. You see, you need an external stimulant, definitely. You need which can be a word, which can be a face actually, or which can be a blink of an eye, which can be the sun coming up behind the clouds, which can be anything actually, which can be a painful memory, which can be so I think I like really when Robert Frost says that poet is actually a lover, not in the typical sense of the lover, one who is always in love with something, constantly in this process, you see, and I think that's where the poem really germinates for me.
All right. Coming back to another very important question. In many of the poems you see, in many of your poems, we can see an amalgam of both East and West. But I would like to know, why is it so sarcastic?
I don't know if it's your impression or your understanding of this encountering or coming together of the East and the West. I think I'm not doing it consciously, first of all. As I said earlier, that I come from a place where I have the privilege of being familiar with the culture, with the history, and the culture actually, which also has contributed to the world literature in many ways, or to the world history. Let's put it like that, like Arabic and Persian, as I have also referred to this in my previous talk, that my father was very fluent in Persian. He could have easily quoted from classics like Bed al-Masroor or Hafiz or Sadi or Maulana Rum. So and I used to have this beautiful sonorous effect of Persian language on my ears, which I have actually. It has always been there, So I'm using the word rakasa, in the old courtesans of Lahore, which is basically a Persian word. It's just a one word, rakasa. So when you speak the word, it has its own sonorous, effect on you. So these Arab, and then of course our familiarity with Arabic language through religious text and many other ways. So all these things, they have been, I would say, percolating into my mind, So there comes the East, but I think, I'm not sure if it's sarcastic, and if it's sarcastic, as you put it, or then I think it's creatively sarcastic. It's like that, I am saying that, look, I'm writing in English does not mean that I am writing about Europe or England, I do not have this kind of a preoccupation. But if you're a student of theory, you would say, oh, he is saying that I am not Eurocentric. Oh yes, I am not Eurocentric, but that doesn't mean that Europe or European literature is not part of our education. That's what Heaney says. Oh, I love English language. That doesn't mean I love England or Queen. Be aware my passport is not green, Whatever you say nothing. That's a very well-known poem from the North. I think Irish writers have also been struggling with this kind of questions, because when you talk about East and West, you are immediately in a kind of a witness box actually, that which is better and which is, it's not like this, I think it goes both ways, you see. So let me give you another example, specifically when we teach romantic poetry or love poetry. As I was going through one of my favorite Islamic mystic, Ibn al-Arabi, Ibn al-Arabi went to Makkah for a pilgrimage. Well, he must have done his pilgrimage. But he found a very beautiful woman there. Her name was Nizam, the Lady of Nizam. She was also a Sufi woman. Ibn Arabi was immediately struck with her physical and spiritual beauty that he wrote 40 poems on her face, actually, Tarjuman al-Ushaq. There is one very interesting reference in Quran about the Prophet Joseph and Zulaikha. It's a wonderful reference, I think, which I think the writers from this part of the world should also explore. So what Beatrice was to Dante, Nizam was to Ibn Arabi. I think these kinds of, Eastern paradigms, aesthetic paradigms, I would say, or let's specifically romantic paradigms, they have been constantly inspiring me, and that's why the title cover of my book, it goes into that Islamic metaphysics, where the power of the alphabet is very important. As Quran says, the Adam themselves को मुख्तलिफ नाम सिखाए गए हैं, Ismaul Husna. If you look at the expression Ismaul Husna, it's wonderful. it's immediately struck with you some kind of inherent beauty in Arabic language, or for that matter in any language. So I'm trying, I would not say consciously trying, but just trying a bit to put that into English language actually. It's a kind of an humble effort, I would say.